Grow stronger. Grow your faith. Grow wiser. Grow in your roles as a mother, father, son, daughter, husband, wife. Grow better. Today is your day to be better. Let's seize the moment. Good morning, and welcome to Growing Better Spiritual Morning Workout with yours truly, Carlos Head. Well, for a few moments, we get together and I share with you a principle or characteristic designed to help us to get going, to get us moving in the direction of growing today, so that at the end of the day, we can all look back and see that this is where we started. This is where we concluded today. And in between that, we can see specifics regarding areas, whether that be our finances, whether it be our health, whether it be something in our careers, whether it be something in our families. But we can look at and see where we've been intentional in doing something that will help us to grow better in that area of our lives. And so the whole purpose of this is so that we be better to ourselves, and in being better to ourselves, it helps us to be better to others. And if we continue that cycle of being good to ourselves and being good to others, then it helps us to build a world that benefits people of all labels. But as usual, before we get started, let's take a moment to give thanks to Source, to God, to Allah, to whatever you call that being that's responsible for us having the opportunity to get together this morning, because we're still in the land of the living, and He decided to wake us up this morning. So let us just take a moment and say thank you. And today, as we embark upon growing intentionally better, not just by happenstance, but intentionally better as mothers, as fathers, as husbands, as wives, sons, daughters, brothers and sisters, friends, in our careers, in our health, in our finances. One of the things that I believe helps tremendously in making sure that this day will be one of growth is to begin the morning by asking yourself, how will I be intentional in growing today? And I just believe that if you continuously ask yourself that question, it'll force you to start having to come up with answers that makes you accountable for your growth. And this episode is because so many people are struggling. So many people want different in their lives. They want better things in their lives, but find themselves producing much of the same results that they're already getting, that they're unsatisfied with. Many people are unhappy and unfulfilled. I mean, it's not like they're just sitting around not doing anything. They're doing the things that they believe will produce the outcomes that they desire, yet they're still getting the same outcomes. And many people are hurt as a result of this. Additionally, I wanted to do this show because so many hurt people are weighing themselves down unnecessarily because they're carrying around a friend with them that's called victim. And what I've come to learn about victims is that the only thing you win as a victim is sympathy. And I just believe that you deserve more than sympathy. You deserve to live your dreams. You deserve to begin to manifest the life that God created you to live. And I just know that sympathy and victimhood can't get you there. So I want to share with you two of the greatest reasons why we sometimes fail to get the outcomes that we desire before moving over into things that we can do to begin to produce more of those outcomes. The first thing that typically trips us up in having the things that we desire is procrastination. This is an area that I'm intimately familiar with because it has kept me on the opposite side of many of my desires. You want something to happen, But in my case, I just don't really feel like doing that. That's just not a part of my typical makeup. And for whatever reason, if it's perfectionism, well, I need to get it all right before I get started. I need to know all the answers before I get started. I need to make sure that I've dotted all the I's or crossed all the T's before I get started. And it just leads to more procrastination, which keeps us on the opposite side of the things that we desire. Keeps us on the opposite side of the things that we desire. And what I understand about results is that you have to put something in order to get something out. You have to do the work if you want a paycheck. See, something must go in order for something to come out. And so, one of the reasons why so many of us are struggling to produce the outcomes that we want is because we've allowed procrastination to take over our lives. And it keeps us sitting on the sidelines of life instead of engaging life to win many of the outcomes that we desire. Second reason that people are living unfulfilled, unhappy lives, not producing the results that they want, is because people focus on, too often, failure. They're focusing on their failures and they're trying to build on their failures. But how many of you know that we can't build on our failures? You can only build on your successes. This is why you ask people. It's because our focus. You ask people what they desire. What makes you happy? What do you want? And for many of people, they'll begin to tell you what they don't want, what they don't like, instead of sharing with you what they do like. It's because the focus is on the failure. The focus is on what's missing. The focus is on the absence of what I desire. And as long as I'm focusing on the thing that is absent, then I'm just going to produce more of the absence of the thing that I desire. However, we can and we should all learn from what we call failures. But we have to realize that in the game of numbers, once we hit the ground or we're at zero, you can't build on the negative side of numbers. At zero, you start adding negativity to that, and you're just going to continue to dig yourself into a deeper hole, which is what happens in many of situations. People are at zero, and instead of building upward by focusing on the things that they desire, they focus on the things that they don't want, and all that does is create more of those things that they don't want, and they find themselves digging a deeper and a deeper and a deeper hole. In order for us to begin to produce results that can be seen, we must begin building upward and not farther downward. We must begin building upward and outward based upon seeing life different, based upon framing life different. And I just want to share with you a few things that help us to frame life different. And that brings us to the topic of today's episode: building upon our successes. And there are three things that I want to share with you that'll help us to grow in creating the outcomes that we desire. The first thing that we can begin to do to shift from focusing on the absence of the things that we want, we can begin focusing on life as if it's a continuous unfolding of things getting better and better. I know you may say, but they're not good. But as long as you continue to tell yourself they're not good, you're going to focus on the fact that they're not good. But when you can begin to shift your focus and to begin to tell yourself that things are continuously unfolding and they're getting better and they're getting better and they're getting better and they're getting better, what that does is it keeps the momentum flowing around things getting better and better. What we focus on, we manifest. So when we stop focusing on things getting better and better, we begin focusing on the absence of those things. We begin focusing on the problem. We begin focusing on the negativity of why it isn't happening. Who's responsible for why it's not happening? Why is it happening to me? Other people seem to be moving. Why is my life stuck in this place of quicksand? And it interrupts the momentum. It stops the momentum right in your tracks Maybe you're not producing as fast as you would like, but as long as you're moving and you recognize that things are getting better and better, it helps you to keep moving focused on the desired outcome. And what I know is that it always requires more energy to get started again than to just keep moving as momentum has built up. Think about how hard it is to get back into the gym after you've stopped. How hard it is to start back exercising, how hard it is to get back on that nutritional regimen that you're on. The second thing that helps us to begin to create more of the outcomes that we desire is to begin to see life as an endless journey of things that we've been successful at creating. See, this is difficult for many people because they see the things that they don't want and ask themselves, well, I didn't intentionally create this. I would not have created discomfort in my life. I would not have created struggle in my life. I would not have created lack in my life. But when you can see life as an endless journey where you've successfully created whatever your reality is, even in the areas that represent pain and difficulty, when you recognize that you were the one that produced that outcome, it helps you to be empowered to know that just as I was responsible in creating this outcome, I can shift my perspective. I can shift something about what I'm doing. I can shift something about how I think. I can shift something about how I engage a situation that allows me to then produce a different outcome. And the third thing that helps us to begin to build the lives that we want, to build some of the outcomes and the successes that we want, is to look at our lives, to look at what we've created and the things that we like about what we created. Create more of those things. Replenish your family, replenish your life, replenish your career, your job with more of those things. If you like the outcomes that you've been getting, then continue to do the things that would continue to produce those outcomes. But in all of it, know that you are the one that's producing those outcomes. And if you're successful at producing undesirable outcomes, there's a few things that we can do. First thing we can do is decide on the outcome that we do desire. Instead of talking about what you don't want, instead of focusing on what's missing, you can decide what outcome you do want. What outcomes in your life, in your relationships, in your home, in your career, what outcomes in your health, what outcomes would you find desirable? And then write them down. Write them down, program them into your GPS system. Because what I want you to understand is that you are better than any navigation system ever created when you're clear, when you're intentional, and when you're focused on getting the desire that you want. Once you become intentional, once you focus on it, once you put in the input of where you're trying to get to, then we are phenomenal at getting to those outcomes. Second thing we can do is start building and creating the outcomes that we want, one thought at a time. We change our perspective, and then we change our actions. We change how we see things and how we speak about things from our failures, what didn't work out, to focusing on what did work out, what is unfolding, how things are getting better, one step at a time, one day at a time, one situation at a time. And then take that and start building or creating the outcomes that we want, one thought at a time. And I'm here to say that you won't complete the house build in a day. It's just not designed that way. It's a process. But you can begin move you from the side absent of your desires to the side of producing more of the desires that you want, depending on where you are in the process. You can't be wanting to produce success but always thinking about failure. You just can't get there that way. The best way to prime yourself for success is to become success conscious, to begin to focus on success, to begin to create a plan of attack to produce and to manifest this success. and to possess a champion's attitude as it relates to the belief that you are capable of having the things that you desire. And don't get caught up thinking that you have to have all the answers before you get started, because procrastination wants you to sit on the sidelines. Procrastination wants you to be miserable watching life pass you by. But I want you, God wants you, your family wants you, the world wants you to continuously be building on your successes so that you continue to create more of those things that represents success and desire for you. Focus on your successes, because everything that you've created, you've been successful at creating it. Now just decide that you're going to create more of the things that you desire than the things that are undesirable. I love you. And until next time, goodbye.